On a blistering afternoon at Fort Carson, a tattoo caught the wrong eyes in the motor pool. A few recruits laughed. Then a Marine colonel stopped cold. He rolled up his sleeve and revealed the same mark. One question remained: what secret bound them across decades of silence? The Colorado sun scorched Fort Carson, turning rows of military vehicles into gleaming monuments of steel. The air vibrated with drill instructors' shouts, slicing through the heat like knives. A wrench clanked rhythmically against metal, a steady beat in the chaos. Claire Whitfield, 28, knelt beside a Humvee, her strong hands buried in its engine. On her forearm, a faded tattoo of an eagle coiled around a compass. Rose caught the light a mark she had etched years ago. A soft jazz melody. Take 5 hummed in her earbuds, while a silver compass pendant, a family keepsake, glinted at her throat. Claire was a shadow in broad daylight, a woman in a world of steel and commands. She had mastered the art of being unseen, but the eagle told another story of discipline, strength, and a past she had fought to bury. Recruit Rodriguez, 19, fresh from boot camp, leaned against a truck with a smirk sharp as a blade. He pointed at her tattoo, his voice dripping with mockery. Whitfield, what's with the eagle? Get that in some cheap shop downtown? Or does it come with a legendary story? 2. Claire didn't look up. The wrench kept its rhythm, though her jaw tightened. It's functional, she said flatly. Keeps the engine running. Recruit Johnson joined in, his laugh edged with disdain. Functional, lady. You're in the wrong place. Let the men handle the trucks. Claire's fingers paused, a sting sharper than she wanted to admit. A memory flashed, sand crunching under boots, a desert night lit by muzzle flashes. She wore tactical gear, leading a team through the shadows. The eagle tattoo was fresh, then a mark of Sentinel Unit, a covert group that never officially existed. Gunfire echoed in her mind, relentless. They didn't know her, not the real Claire Whitfield. She had walked in places nameless on maps, commanded missions that lived only in classified shadows. Only 6 survived. She was one of them. Sergeant Evans, 40 stern but fair, strode over boots, grinding the dust. His voice cracked like a whip. Rodriguez Johnson, focus on your work, not Whitfield's ink. She's worth 10 of you. Learn something instead of running your mouths. The recruits scattered smirks lingering. Claire glanced at Evans, just a flicker of gratitude before diving back into the engine. Evans studied her movements, too precise, too controlled for an ordinary mechanic. He tucked the thought away. For 2 years, Claire had hidden in plain sight, trading covert ops for oil stains. The eagle tattoo was both shield and scar, a reminder of the life she left behind. But some truths refused to stay buried. The motor pool grew taut as Colonel Marcus Hayes, 52, arrived for inspection. His lean frame and weathered face carried decades of shadowed operations. His gray hair was regulation cut, but his eyes were sharper than rank required. An entourage followed, clipboards in hand. Claire worked on her focus unbroken, the jazz now a faint hum. Nearby, Emily Parker wore. A rookie with eager eyes hovered close, watching Claire with quiet admiration. Adjusting her uniform, nervous but determined, she asked softly, "Miss Whitfield, how do you stay calm? They're always talking like that." Claire looked up, her expression softening. She wiped sweat from her brow, leaving a streak of grease. "You get used to it, Emily. Keep your head down, do the work. Results, shut them up." Emily nodded, clutching her wrench tighter. Claire's silver compass pendant caught the light, a reminder of her mother's words. Stay the course, find your true north. Colonel Hayes moved through the motor pool, his sharp questions revealing a deep knowledge of logistics. He stopped at Claire's station, where she fought a stubborn transmission bolt. Under the harsh light, her eagle tattoo glowed faintly. "Who's this?" Sergeant Hayes asked casually. "Whitfield, sir. Best mechanic we've got." Instinct for engines like I've never seen. Hayes's eyes fixed on the tattoo. His face paled subtly, but enough to thicken the air. He stepped closer, slow and deliberate, like a predator circling prey. "Whitfield," he said quietly, "step out a moment." Claire set down her wrench, sliding out with military precision. She stood at attention, meeting his eyes for a fleeting second, before shifting to the regulation point above his shoulder. That glance was enough. Hayes's expression betrayed recognition. A ghost resurfaced. In that instant, the eagle stirred. Claire felt the pull of a life she thought she'd escaped. The tattoo wasn't just ink. It was a mark of Sentinel Unit, a brotherhood forged where maps ended and survival was counted in heartbeats. Hayes removed his jacket slowly, rolling up his sleeve to reveal an identical eagle and compass tattoo. The motor pool fell silent. Recruits froze. Evans' jaw clenched. "She's not logistics," Hayes whispered to Evans, his eyes locked on Claire. "She's Sentinel. Only 6 of us made it out alive." The words hung like smoke, meaningless to the recruits, but heavy in Claire's chest. Her heart raced, but her face stayed calm, a mask honed in places where mistakes meant death. The past wasn't dead. It was hunting her. That tattoo, mocked by some, was a signal to those who knew its truth. And Colonel Hayes knew far more than he let on. Whitfield Hayes said firmly, "Building 47, 30 minutes. Come alone. Tell no one." Claire nodded, steady on the surface, but reeling inside. Emily watched, wide-eyed, sensing gravity without understanding it. Evans cleared his throat, breaking the silence. "You heard the colonel. Back to work. Keep it quiet." The recruits dispersed, sneaking glances. Claire picked up her tools, her movements mechanical while her thoughts drifted. The jazz in her ears faded, replaced by echoes of gunfire from memories she had tried to lock away. Claire Whitfield, the mechanic, was about to become the warrior she buried. But who was hunting her? And what did the tattoo truly mean? The eagle was waking, and the shadows were closing in. Who is Claire Whitfield, really? Comment below. What do you think her eagle tattoo means? Where are you listening from? 30 minutes after the colonel whispered a name she thought buried forever. Claire Whitfield walked toward Building 47. The tattoo on her arm wasn't just ink, it was a key. And someone out there already knew how to use it against her. The air at Fort Carson pulsed with the rhythm of a military base, drill instructors barking orders, engines rumbling in the distance, the faint buzz of a radio spilling old jazz. Claire Whitfield moved through the compound. Her steps measured her silver compass pendant, glinting under the Colorado sun. The faded eagle and compass tattoo on her forearm felt heavier, now tugging her back toward a life she had buried. 30 minutes earlier, Colonel Marcus Hayes had said the words that shattered her fragile anonymity. "She's Sentinel. Only 6 of us made it out alive." Now she was headed toward Building 47, an unremarkable structure in a quiet corner of the base. Its plain exterior hiding truths only a handful were cleared to know. Each step was a battle between the woman she claimed to be a grease-stained mechanic and the warrior she once was. The tattoo, mocked by recruits who saw only a woman in coveralls, was in fact a brand of something far greater, a truth she had fought to forget. Inside, the air was cool and sterile. Claire entered a small second-floor conference room, its walls lined with faintly humming anti-surveillance panels. No windows, just harsh fluorescent light casting long shadows. Colonel Hayes waited at a steel table, his weathered face unreadable, his identical tattoo hidden beneath a civilian shirt. He gestured toward a chair. Claire sat, posture rigid, hands steady despite the storm in her chest. "You thought you could hide forever?" Whitfield Hayes said quietly, his voice weighted with scars they both carried. "But Sentinel never lets you go." Claire's eyes narrowed, her voice calm but edged with defiance. I walked away 2 years ago, sir. I'm just a mechanic now." Hayes leaned forward, gaze sharp enough to pierce steel. "You were never just anything. You were Sentinel, one of the best, and someone out there knows it. They're hunting us, Claire, the 6 who survived." Her breath caught, but her face stayed a mask. A memory surged, choking smoke gunfire rattling through a mountain, past the weight of a wounded teammate slung across her shoulders. Sentinel Unit had lived in the shadows, missions erased before they were recorded. Their final op had gone horribly wrong. 3 teammates dead, betrayed by someone who vanished into the night. Only 6 made it out, scattered into false lives. "I'm done with that world," Claire said, her voice firm but trembling at the edges. "They told me to disappear. I did." Hayes slid a sealed envelope across the table, the paper marked with a classified stamp that officially didn't exist. "Open it, and you're back in. Refuse, and you're still a target. They know who you are, Whitfield. They've been watching." Claire stared at the envelope, her fingers hovering, but not yet touching. Her mind flashed to Emily Parker, the young rookie who had watched her with wide-eyed admiration earlier that day. Emily, barely 20, desperate to prove herself in a world quick to dismiss her. Claire had shown her how to tighten a bolt, seen the spark of defiance in her eyes, the same spark she once carried. The thought of Emily caught in her crosshairs twisted Claire's gut. "I'm not the only one they're watching, am I?" she whispered. Hayes's eyes darkened. "You're rookie Emily Parker. She was photographed outside the motor pool this morning. Whoever's hunting us knows she's connected to you." Claire's calm cracked. "Emily has nothing to do with this. She's just a kid." "Then keep her safe," Hayes said grimly. "But you can't do that by hiding. You know what we were, what you still are." Another memory struck a briefing room years ago, dim red light washing over faces. A senior officer's voice dripped with skepticism. "A woman leading this op. You sure she can handle it?" She proved him wrong that night, hacking enemy comms with precision, guiding her team through fire. But the betrayal had come later, a knife in the dark, from someone they trusted. The eagle tattoo inked in a makeshift parlor after that mission was her vow to never forget and never trust again. "Why me?" Claire asked, voice raw, when Hayes leaned back, his expression grim. "Someone's asking questions about Sentinel, about missions that never happened, about people who don't exist. They've got resources, tech, maybe even an inside man. Harper's at Fort Bragg, Jackson's in Germany. Both compromised. You're next." Claire's fingers brushed the silver pendant at her throat, its compass warm against her skin. Her mother's voice echoed in memory. "The eagle carries your strength, child. Your true north." She wanted to believe it, but the weight of her past felt more like a chain than a shield. "I chose this life," she said, holding up her grease-stained hands. "Fixing trucks, staying out of trouble. It's honest. It's safe." Hayes's tone softened, though his words cut deep. "Safe. You're a ghost. Whitfield living a lie. You think you can outrun who you are. That tattoo says otherwise." Silence fell. The faint hum of the panels filled the room. Claire's eyes dropped to her tattoo. The eagle's wings faded, but unyielding. She saw Emily's face again, a nervous grip on a wrench, quiet defiance against taunts she herself once endured. If Emily was in danger, because of her hiding wasn't an option. Her hand steadied as she reached for the envelope. "What's the mission?" Relief flickered in Hayes's eyes, though his voice stayed hard. "Not here. Tonight. Secure channels only. Until then, act normal. They're watching you. And Emily." Claire slid the envelope into her pocket. She rose her movements, sharp muscle memory, resurfacing from a life she swore she'd abandoned. Leaving Building 47, the jazz in her earbuds felt faint, drowned by the echoes of that final mission. Smoke screams betrayal. Back in the motor pool, Emily approached, eyes bright but wary. "Miss Whitfield, you okay? You look different." Claire forced a smile, brushing Emily's shoulder. "Just keep working, Emily. Stay sharp. Stay close." Emily nodded, though her gaze lingered, sensing the shift. Around them, the motor pool hummed on, oblivious to the storm rising. Claire's eyes swept the horizon there, a figure in a dark jacket, phone in hand, watching from a distance. Her pulse quickened. The eagle tattoo burned beneath her sleeve. Her past was no longer buried. It was awake, and it was closing in. Why is Emily being targeted? Who's lurking in the shadows? And what do they want with Sentinel's ghosts? The eagle is stirring, and Claire Whitfield's fight is just beginning. With the sealed envelope burning in her pocket, Claire Whitfield knew the line was already crossed. The eagle tattoo on her arm wasn't just a memory. It was an order, calling her back into shadows she swore she'd never walk again. The Fort Carson motor pool roared under the relentless Colorado sun, a symphony of clanking tools and engines revving in sequence. Claire Whitfield knelt beside a Humvee, her hand steady despite the classified envelope tucked against her side. The faded eagle and compass tattoo on her forearm felt alive now, pulsing with a past she could no longer outrun. Her earbuds hummed with soft jazz, Nina Simone's voice weaving through the noise, but her eyes were sharp, scanning the horizon for threats. At her throat, the silver compass pendant glinted faintly, grounding her as she stepped back toward a world she thought she had left behind. Claire Whitfield was no longer just a mechanic. The shadows of Sentinel Unit were calling, and the eagle was ready to strike. Nearby, Emily Parker. The young rookie clutched her wrench tightly. Her eyes shone with admiration, but fear lingered after the morning's tension. Claire caught her gaze, remembering their earlier talk, how Emily's determination mirrored her own at that age, fighting to prove she belonged. Emily, Claire said, voice low but firm, "Don't let their words get to you. You're here because you're good. Better than they'll admit." Emily squared her shoulders. "It's hard, Miss Whitfield. They look at me like I don't belong. Like I'm less." Claire's hand brushed her pendant warm against her skin. Her mother's words echoed in her mind. "The eagle carries your strength, child. Your true north." She knelt beside Emily, pointing to a loose bolt. "Focus on the work. Every turn of that wrench proves them wrong. You're not less, you're more." Emily smiled, tentative, but steadier now, and tightened the bolt. Claire watched, protectiveness coiling in her chest. Emily was in danger because of her, watched by unseen eyes Claire didn't yet understand. The envelope from Colonel Marcus Hayes burned against her pocket, a door she wasn't sure she wanted to open. A memory crashed in a Sentinel briefing room years ago, lit by dim red light. A senior officer's voice, cold and dismissive. "A woman leading this op. That's a risk we can't take." She had proved him wrong that night, hacking enemy comms with flawless precision, guiding her team through fire. But the betrayal had come later, a knife in the dark, from someone they trusted. The eagle tattoo inked that same night was both vow and scar. Back in the motor pool, Sergeant Evans approached, stern face softened by curiosity. "Whitfield, you're needed at admin. Something about maintenance protocols? Colonel's orders?" Claire nodded, catching the coded undertone. Evans' eyes lingered his earlier doubts about her place in the motor pool, waning as he noted her calm efficiency. He was beginning to see more, though not the full truth. Not yet. She moved across the base steps, purposeful yet alert. The jazz faded in her earbuds. As she passed the mess hall, a figure caught her eye. A man in a dark jacket posture, too rigid, too military for a civilian. He held a phone gaze, cold tracking her. Claire's pulse spiked. Sentinel training clicking back. She noted his position exits cover points. He didn't follow, but his eyes burned into her back. The eagle stirred. Someone was watching closer than she imagined. Inside Building 47, the same sterile conference room waited, its anti-surveillance panels humming. Hayes sat at the steel table, grim-faced, a laptop glowing with encrypted data. He gestured to a chair. Claire sat the envelope unopened in her hand. "You've made your choice." Whitfield, Hayes said, voice steady but urgent. "Open it. The mission's live." Her fingers traced the seal. Her mother's words echoed. "The eagle carries your strength." She whispered a short prayer, then tore it open. Inside, classified files, profiles of Sentinel survivors, mission logs that didn't exist, and one stark line, threat level critical. Hostile teams active. Hayes's voice cut through her thoughts. Harper's at Fort Bragg, working intel. Jackson's in Germany logistics. Both compromised. Surveilled just like you. Someone's hunting Sentinel's ghosts, and they know too much. Claire's mind raced. Who are they, foreign agents? Our own people. Hayes's eyes hardened. We don't know yet. Private outfit, maybe. High-tech drones, encrypted comms, data mining. They've got details no one outside Sentinel should have. Which means someone on the inside. Claire's grip tightened on the file. The stranger in the jacket flashed in her mind. I saw someone today. Outside the mess hall, military posture. Watching me. Hayes leaned forward sharp. You're sure? She nodded. He wasn't alone. I could feel it. Hayes tapped the laptop, pulling up a secure comms interface. We're activating a channel to Harper and Jackson. You'll lead the link up. They need to hear you're in. Claire's breath caught. Lead again, after betrayal, after blood. Another memory slammed in her team, pinned in a canyon, her cyber skills jamming enemy comms to buy seconds. But seconds hadn't been enough. The traitor's face blurred the pain crystal clear. I'm not ready, she said quietly. I failed them last time. Hayes's gaze softened, though his words were steel. You didn't fail, Whitfield. You survived. And now Emily needs you. Harper and Jackson need you. That stranger, he's not here for a social call. Claire's eyes dropped to her tattoo wings, faded, but defiant. Emily's face flickered in her mind, her eager eyes wrench held like a shield. If Claire ran, Emily paid the price. Her hands moved with practiced precision as she activated the comms gear. The device blinked green, pulsing like a heartbeat. Channel's live, she said. Steady now, Harper Jackson. This is Whitfield. Report in. Static cracked, then Harper's voice cool and analytical. Whitfield, you're alive. Thought you were a ghost. Jackson's voice followed, gruff and skeptical. What's this? Hayes, dragging us back into the fire. Hayes's eyes locked on Claire. Tell them. They need to hear it from you. Claire drew a deep breath, her mother's words steadying her. We're being hunted. All of us. Someone knows about Sentinel. Our missions. Our names. They're coming for us. And they're already here. The line went silent, the weight of her words pressing down. Claire's gaze flicked to the door, half expecting the man in the jacket to walk through. The eagle tattoo burned beneath her sleeve, a signal that her old life was no longer optional. Who was that stranger, and could Claire protect her team before it was too late? The shadows were closing in, and the fight was just beginning. Dusk fell on Fort Carson, turning the motor pool into a field of shadows. Claire Whitfield knew the eagle on her arm was no longer just a scar, it was a signal. To face the enemy, she would need to unite ghosts who no longer trusted one another. The Colorado sky bruised purple as evening draped itself over Fort Carson's silent rows of vehicles. Claire Whitfield moved across the base steps, quick but deliberate, her eagle and compass tattoo hidden beneath her sleeve, but alive with purpose. The silver compass pendant at her throat swung softly, tethering her to her mother's voice. Find your true north. The jazz in her ears had gone silent, replaced by the faint crackle of a secure comms channel linking her to Sentinel's scattered survivors. But the image of the stranger, the one in the dark jacket with cold military eyes, stayed in her mind, a warning that the shadows were closing in. Claire Whitfield was no longer a mechanic hiding from her past. The eagle was awake, but before facing the enemy, she would need to gather a fractured team. In a secure bunker beneath Fort Carson, Claire stood over a tactical display with Harper and Jackson, their voices cutting through encrypted feeds. Harper, the sharp-eyed intel analyst at Fort Bragg, appeared on a screen, fingers flying across keys with clinical precision. Jackson, still in Germany, leaned toward his camera, gruff voice, thick with skepticism. Sergeant Evans waited at the edge of the room, arms crossed, doubt in his eyes, softening but not erased. Emily Parker, clutching a tablet of motor pool logs, hovered nearby, her fear masked by determination. Harper's voice sliced through static. I've tracked their signals, encrypted high-grade not government. This is a private outfit, mercenaries with deep pockets. They're using drones data mining the works, and they know Sentinel's moves too well. Claire's gut twisted. Memory struck a Sentinel mission years ago, a desert compound lit by fire. She had jammed enemy comms while guiding her team through chaos. But Jackson had doubted her every step. A woman leading point. You're out of your depth, Whitfield. She had proved him wrong, but betrayal still cost 3 lives. The eagle tattoo inked after was her vow to never let doubt break her again. How do they know our tactics? Claire asked, her voice steady despite the memory. This feels personal? Jackson snorted, his image flickering. Personal. Maybe if you hadn't led us into that mess. Whitfield, we wouldn't be targets now. The words cut deep. Claire's gaze locked onto his, her reply low and unyielding. I got you out alive, Jackson. You're welcome. Now focus, or we're all dead. Harper's eyebrow lifted, respect flickering through her cold facade. Evans shifted, his skepticism faltering as he watched Claire take control. Emily stepped forward, her voice trembling but firm. Miss Whitfield, I found something in the motor pool logs. Someone's been pinging our vehicle trackers from inside the base. Claire's pulse spiked. A traitor. The stranger in the jacket burned in her mind, his phone a possible link to the enemy. Good work, Emily, she said softly but with urgency. Send me the data. Stay close and stay safe. Emily nodded, fingers moving quickly, admiration outweighing her fear. The compass pendant at Claire's throat caught the bunker's light, echoing her mother's words. The eagle carries your strength. She would need every ounce of it. Harper pulled up a fresh data stream. I've got a hit. Their signals are converging on Fort Carson armory tonight. They know our defenses. Claire's mind raced. She activated her cyber warfare kit screen, glowing with intercepted chatter. I can jam their comms, slow them down. Harper map their drone paths. Jackson secure transport. Armored fast. Jackson hesitated, jaw tight. You sure you can lead this, Whitfield? Last time I saved your life, Claire snapped, her voice steel. Trust me now or we lose everything. Jackson's glare lingered, but he finally gave a reluctant nod. Fine. I'm in. Evans stepped closer, his voice gruff but solid. Whitfield, you've got my support. Whatever you need. Claire nodded, chest tightening with the weight of their trust. She turned to Emily, who still gripped the tablet like a shield. You're with me, Emily. Your intel is our edge. Can you handle it? Emily's eyes lit with determination. Yes, ma'am. I won't let you down. The team dispersed, Claire leading them to set defenses. She rigged the armory's security system to detect incoming drones, her fingers moving with precision sharpened in Sentinel's darkest missions. Yet memory cut deep a teammate's voice from that final mission. "Whitfield, they knew our plan. Someone sold us out." The traitor's face was blurred, but the wound was sharp, and the tattoo could not heal it. Night fell. Claire patrolled the base, scanning for the stranger. She spotted him again, near the armory. Dark jacket blending into shadows, phone glowing faintly. His movements were precise, too military to be random. Claire's pulse surged. Her hand brushed the compass pendant. She whispered a quiet prayer, the eagle's strength steadying her. Then the tactical display beeped. Harper's voice crackled over comms. "Whitfield, they're moving now. Drones inbound. Ground team closing." And their comms mentioned Sentinel by name. Someone inside's talking. Claire's blood ran cold. The traitor was here on the base, feeding the enemy their every move. Her gaze flicked to Emily, the young rookie's face pale but defiant. Claire's vow to protect, to lead to survive, burned brighter than ever. Could she unite her team before the strike? Who was the traitor, and how did they know Sentinel's secrets? The eagle was coiled, ready to strike, but the shadows were deeper than she feared. The night over, Fort Carson crackled with danger. Drones circled like vultures, mercenaries closed in, and Claire Whitfield knew the eagle on her arm was no longer a memory. It was her last line of defense. The Colorado darkness vibrated with tension, the air thick with the hum of distant generators and the faint buzz of hostile drones. Claire Whitfield crouched on a rooftop overlooking the armory, her sniper rifle steady, her cyber warfare kit glowing with intercepted signals. Beneath her sleeve, the eagle and compass tattoo pulsed a vow of protection forged in blood. The silver compass pendant at her chest warmed against her skin, anchoring her with her mother's words. "Find your true north." The jazz in her ears had gone silent, replaced by the clipped voices of Harper and Jackson's Sentinel teammates, coordinating a desperate defense. Claire Whitfield was no longer a shadow. The eagle was awake, but this fight would test every ounce of her resolve, and the cost could break her. Earlier in the secure bunker, Claire had stood before her team, Harper the cold-eyed analyst, Jackson the gruff logistician, Sergeant Evans' doubts fading into respect, and Emily Parker, the rookie, whose hands trembled as she delivered critical intel. The enemy, a private syndicate with deep pockets, knew Sentinel's tactics. Too well, evidence of a traitor in their midst. Claire's gut burned with the same betrayal that had once shattered Sentinel in a canyon years ago. "We've got hours and days," she had said firmly. "They're hitting the armory tonight. We stop them, or Fort Carson falls." Jackson's eyes had narrowed, skepticism flaring. "You sure you can lead this, Whitfield? Last time you called the shots, and we bled for it." Claire's stare had been steady, unflinching. "I saved your life, Jackson. Trust me now, or we're all dead." Harper's silent nod confirmed her vote of confidence. Evans had stepped forward, his voice gruff but solid. "You've got my backing, Whitfield." And Emily, eyes wide, but burning with defiance, had clutched her tablet, mirroring the determination Claire once carried. Now on the rooftop, Claire's scope swept the armory perimeter. Her cyber kit hummed, jamming drone signals and sending them wobbling through the sky. A memory struck that canyon ambush, her fingers flying over a hacked comms board to block enemy chatter. She had bought seconds, but betrayal had cost 3 lives. The eagle tattoo etched in the aftermath was her vow never to fail again. Her comms crackled. Harper's voice cut sharp, Whitfield ground teams moving in black-clad heavy arms. "East Gate." "Copy," Claire replied, voice steel. "Jackson transport ready, armored trucks in place." Jackson grunted. Don't screw this up, Whitfield. Claire ignored the jab, adjusting her scope. Wind speed 5 knots southwest. Her mother's words echoed the Eagle guides it doesn't destroy. She whispered a prayer and took aim. The attack came fast. Mercenaries breached the East Gate rifles, spitting in silence. Claire's first shot dropped a sniper at 500 meters, clean, decisive. Her cyber kit scrambled their comms, sowing chaos. Then her screen flashed red. Emily's tracker tied to a motor pool. Vehicle was moving fast, off base. "They've got Emily, Claire," said voice tight. Her chest seized with memory, the screams of teammates lost to betrayal. Not again. Not Emily. "Harper," she snapped, "hold the armory." "I'm going after her." Jackson's voice cut in. "Whitfield, it's a trap. You can't go alone." "Then cover me." She fired back, slinging her rifle and sprinting from the rooftop. Her kit tracked Emily's signal to a deserted lot at the base's edge. The memory hit hard, dragging a wounded soldier through a canyon bullets, tearing past, knowing she'd lose him. She would not lose Emily. They're a vehicle. Emily was bound in the back, a mercenary looming with a blade. Claire dropped behind a rusted crate, scope locking on. Wind whistled. She adjusted for 300 meters and fired. The mercenary collapsed, but drones above zeroed in their red lasers, cutting through the dark. Claire's fingers flew across her cyber kit, hijacking their signals. One drone smashed into another, sparks scattering the night. She sprinted, cutting Emily free with her knife. Emily's wide eyes met hers, tears and gratitude spilling together. "You came for me," she whispered, voice breaking. "Always," Claire said, firmly pulling her to cover. "You're one of us now." They raced back to the armory, where Harper and Jackson held the line. Claire's cyber kit spat interference, drowning enemy comms in static. Her rifle dropped their leaders, each shot precise. The mercenary assault collapsed survivors, scattering into the night. Back in the bunker, the team regrouped, faces etched with exhaustion and relief. Evans stepped forward. First, his stern demeanor softened. "I was wrong, Whitfield. You're no mechanic. You're a warrior." Jackson followed, prejudice burned away by fire. "You led us through hell tonight. I owe you." Claire's chest tightened, their trust heavier than any weapon she had ever carried. Beside her stood Emily, safe, shaken, but clutching her wrench like a talisman. And for the first time, Claire allowed herself to believe the Eagle wasn't just a scar. It was her true north, her purpose guiding her into the storm yet to come. At dawn, over Fort Carson, the motor pool stood in silence. But for Claire Whitfield, nothing was the same. She had survived the storm, uncovered betrayal, and chosen a path not of vengeance, but of strength. The first light of Colorado morning painted the motor pool in soft gold and long shadows. Claire Whitfield stood quietly, boots planted on the cracked asphalt, the hum of the bass faint in the background. Beneath her sleeve, the eagle and compass tattoo glowed faintly, no longer just ink, but a mark of survival and purpose. The silver compass pendant, her mother's gift, rested warm against her chest, carrying the weight of guidance and resilience. The jazz she once used to block out the world was silent now. In its place, beat a new rhythm, one forged in the fire of the night before. She had saved Emily Parker, repelled the mercenaries, and held the line. But the traitor, the one feeding Sentinel's secrets, still remained. Claire Whitfield was no longer a ghost. The eagle had struck, but the final test would weigh her heart, not her aim. The eagle on her arm burned, urging her forward. She led the team to Building 47, where Holt waited, unaware of their discovery. The hum of anti-surveillance panels filled the sterile room. Holt stood at the head of a steel table, his uniform crisp, his face a mask of authority. But Claire saw the truth in his eyes, a flicker of guilt, a shadow of the man who had abandoned them. "Colonel Holt," Claire said, voice steady as stone. You sold us out. Then and now. Why Holt's composure cracked his hand, twitching toward his sidearm. The team tensed, Harper's knife half-drawn, Jackson ready to strike Evans, blocking the exit. Emily stepped closer to Claire, fear in her breath, but steel in her stance. You don't understand, Whitfield Holt. Said voice low, defensive. Sentinel was a liability. Too many secrets. Too much power. They paid me to clean it up, starting with you. Rage surged in Claire's chest. She saw her fallen teammates' faces, heard their screams. Her hand brushed her pendant, her mother's voice echoing. The Eagle Guides, not destroys. You took everything, Claire said, voice raw. My team, my trust. But I won't become you. I won't let hate win. She stepped closer, unarmed, her gaze locked on Holt's. You're finished. Confess or we expose you. Your choice. Holt's shoulders sagged. The fight drained from him. Evans stepped forward and cuffed him. The team exhaled, the tension breaking like a wave. Jackson met Claire's eyes, respect finally clear. You didn't have to let him live, Whitfield. But I understand why you did. Harper's voice softened. You're stronger than I thought. Emily's voice trembled with awe. You saved us, Miss Whitfield. All of us. Claire's chest tightened, their trust-healing wounds she had carried too long. Outside, dawn washed over the motor pool. Claire knelt beside a Humvee, Emily at her side, their wrenches moving in rhythm. The eagle tattoo caught the morning light, not a scar, but a symbol of rebirth. Her past wasn't a burden anymore. It was her compass, her strength, and her legacy. She thought of her mother's words whispered like a prayer. Protect us. Guide us. Make us whole. Looking at Emily, the young woman who had become her mirror, her hope. Claire's voice was soft but fierce. Keep going, Emily. You're the future. As the storyteller, I believe Claire's journey is more than just a tale of betrayal and redemption. It reminds us that resilience isn't forged in medals or titles. It's etched in scars, choices, and the courage to rise again. Her eagle tattoo may be fiction, but the truth it carries belongs to all of us. That strength often comes when we refuse to let hate define us. If this story touched you, I invite you to like, share, and comment your thoughts below. Tell us where you're watching from and what part resonated with you the most. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you won't miss the next story of courage, resilience, and legacy.